Hey, Dr. Sherry.
I'm about to run to the restroom. I'll be right back.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mastermind, can you see and hear me?
I can. How
How
are you?
you doing?
I ain't supposed to be here, Dr. Sherry. I'm supposed to be long gone.
It's coming. You act like you forgot my story or something.
You know what? I didn't forget your story. I think about you often. I'm like, Dr. Sherry, I was 2 points away.
Look at you. Look
I,
at that.
but I was devastated. I was devastated.
You
Like you
better
already
change that
know.
thought process.
I've
You
already
are
changed it.
you should be saying to yourself, that's two steps, that's two away from where
That
you
close.
were in the past. I kept
Yep.
telling y'all that in group. That's how I thought of it anyway.
Yeah, well, I snapped out of it and I was like, yeah, I'm closer. That's the closest I ever been. But I told Dr. Pam, I said, when I pass this exam, I'm going to be able to bust the community college and whoever else wide open because I will be able to teach. I love human development. I
Mhm.
love it. Like I
Look
do.
at you.
So it's all right. It'll be all right.
I saw someone named Hillary just join. Hey, Hillary. I'm not Dr. Pam. I'm her sub tonight. Okay.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm wonderful. Actually, my name is Demetria. I know my
Oh,
phone. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. My phone, my daughter name is Hillary. And when I got me a new phone, she set it up. And she set it up on the Hillary's iPhone like she paid a bill.
they do. They think they do.
But yes, it's me. I'm Demetria.
Okay. But Miss Demetria, if I say Hillary, don't
It's
you know
okay.
who I'm talking about?
It's
Mastermind,
it's
correct
okay.
me. She said
E-
Demetria,
It's
Doc. And no, you're not supposed to be calling me Doc.
and
I told y'all I'm not going back to school. Mm-mm.
and I'll answer to Hillary as well.
See?
So it is 5 o'clock. This train is ready to roll with or without. Occasionally, I may pause to let people in. I'm not Dr. Pam, as you all can see, but I used to be one of Dr. Pam's students. Now, 4 years ago, praise God.
Oh
And
yeah.
I've shared my experience. I actually been right after I received, well, actually before I share this, how much Dr. Pam believe in individuals, and I'm one of those persons. If you take care of me, I'm gonna take care of you. And so I had Demetria. You've never heard my story, but I'm an LC at present. But it took me 13 times to pass my exam before I became an LC. Prior to my LC, I was a licensed advanced practice social worker because I had a nonprofit then, and I was content there. But I'm in Memphis, Tennessee, and things changed where I needed an LC. And so I was like, let me just go for it. But what I found initially is I was taking the LC because jobs and stuff was saying you need it. And I was like, that's not what I want. I had to change my mindset. But I also, when I started working with Dr. Pam, I was working with her. I was doing TDC or TD, however it's called. And I was working with a guy named Phil. And what I found is I started doing some research on my own and looking at the individuals that was passing here in Memphis and nationwide. And I'm not racist, but I found out that Black women, because this is primarily a women's field, don't pass the exam the way white women do. Nothing against individuals, but in some areas, people have an advantage sometimes. And so you go through high school, you go to college, and then you go to grad school. And you was like, but I wrote papers and I did this. And so I had to tell myself, okay, but this test is different. And I listened to Dr. Pam, and she was like, you're taking this test the way you work, you'll never pass. And once I really started paying attention to what she was saying and I started looking at it, I didn't, because a lot of times too, our counterparts, they go from undergrad to grad, whereas some of us, Black women, we go from undergrad, we take a break 4 or 5 years, go to the master's program, but we're working. And so the way we work, it looks like that on the exam, but it really isn't. Another thing I recognize for myself, and now that I've been teaching for Dr. Pam for 4 years, now 3.5, 4 years, is that we don't know how to read. Believe it or not. I ask my students, what's the psychosocial assessment? And they're like, and I'm like, but you do a psychosocial assessment at work all day, every day. And so Mastermind is on here, and she's been in one of my groups. I love what I do. I do what I love. It shows in the work, how I teach. And so I am going to call you out very nicely if something comes up, because I want you to learn. And if you hear for a reason. I spent well over $20,000 trying to secure my LC, and now I have a private practice making over what I made. So you have to invest in yourself to get what you need. And if it takes 13 times or 20 times, who cares if that's what you want? So I said that, and we're gonna get this thing started. It's just the two of us. I'm gonna get you all to introduce yourself a minute or so, and then we'll get to rolling. Dimitri, you want to go first since you're off mute?
I will. I'm Demetria. Um MSW. So I am scheduled to take my LCSW March, the first Wednesday in March. I don't know if that's the third, fifth, whatever it is. It's March to something. And I'm in Georgia. And I took the exam December and did not pass it. And I took a study group with Dr. Pam a couple of weeks ago, and I was telling her I truly feel that I could have passed that exam. I missed it by a couple of points, and I told her I really felt that I was ready to take that exam. I really felt I could have passed that exam, and I still believe I started some new medication. My doctor and I started
Mhm.
some new medication. I'm still taking it, but I've decreased the dosage of it, um, of some Topamax,
Okay.
and it really had altered my mental status a whole lot, and
Okay.
definitely changed some stuff with me. And I really think that could have been some of my problem, um, with my thought process, even at work. It had
Okay.
made some changes even at work. But how do you ever, that's water under the bridge. I won't never know if that was my total determining
Mhm.
factor or not. But as fast as as for content and all of that, I felt very comfortable
Okay.
as far as all of that stuff. But it came, it happened, whatever. And then it was the holidays. So then I kind of
Mhm.
was like, I'm not going to schedule too fast right after the holidays. I had a cruise book, had other things going on. It was the new year. I had some stuff booked at work, some speaking engagements. So I
Yeah,
just
you had a
didn't
lot going
get a
on.
lot going on. So I didn't book it right back.
Mhm.
So kind of drug my feet. So now I got it scheduled for March, taking me some more study groups,
Okay.
make sure I'm just ready to do it again in March.
Good luck.
But I'm in Georgia. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Mastermind.
I am mastermind. Uh, I'm scheduled to take my test again on the 7th or the 8th of April.
Whoop.
It'll be my eighth time. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I'm learning.
You right there. Like she
Yeah.
said, she learned it. And Mastermind was in a group with me. Um, and there were six of y'all, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And she's very close to passing her exam, and two of her cohorts passed. One passed right after the group was over. So it can be done.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Get your pens and paper. Y'all got
Uh-oh.
it?
Oh, I ain't used to that because Dr. Pam be
Uh-huh. I'm
yelling at
going
us.
doing something different tonight.
Man.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know who's gonna be on this call. They get my original stuff. But I am a big thing of repetition because I can tell you something 20 different ways, and you'll be like, oh, I see what you said this time where I didn't see it last time. So I want you all to write the word confidentiality on your paper. And then I want you to write the word informed consent on your paper. And then I'm going to spell this because I'm country. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. INLOCO. Another word is PARENTIS. And then the next word is negligence. NEGLIGENCE. And then your next word is duty to warn. Of course, DUTYTOWARN. And the last thing I want you to write is professional disclosure statement. So, Demetria, you're going to give us a definition for confidentiality and in locus parentis. Mastermind, you're going to give us a definition for informed consent and negligence, as well as duty to warn, and then Demetria, professional disclosure statements. All right. Who want to go? Who has confidentiality?
Me.
Now let's go.
Okay. Confidentiality is in my own words.
Mhm.
Confidentiality.
Come on, come on.
hmm
You
Yeah.
should know it.
I know it. I just got to figure out how to put it in my own words. Confidentiality is when you remain when you how do I put it in words? Provide remain keeping people's information confidence, not disclosing any information that is given to you without consent, unless it is unless you have a safety concern, um if it's a Safety concern for an
Demetri, I'm gonna stop
individual
you. I'm gonna
or
stop
a,
you.
okay. Hmm.
In 10 seconds, I need you to tell me what confidentiality is.
In 10 seconds. Okay.
Mhm.
In 10 seconds,
And you have
confidential.
8 now.
It is not disclosing information from a patient's client's information unless this has safety concerns um, for client safety or safety of
There you go.
another individual.
We supposed to know this. You just made it hard, and you're not gonna walk away
Make it hard because I was
disliking
trying to
me.
figure out how to put it in my own words.
And that's what we do on the test. We that what was the first thing I said? We should know this. You just took your exam, and I'm not being hard on you. So don't walk away here disliking me. I'm being serious. I want anybody that passed by me and Dr. Pam to pass this exam or leave with additional content so you can every time you take it, you're like, "Ooh, I see it." Because when you go out there in the world as a LCSW, you don't when you know this stuff, you know it and you have to know it because you have to rely on it. I'm in a group and I was struggling with a case. I just had to do a consultation earlier today, but there are things that sometimes it gets loopy. And here's our class tonight is on professional ethics. And what we do in ethics is we add stuff to it. And ethics is a big part of our exam. And when we start adding stuff to it, that's when things get all wobbled up and messed up and we get the answer wrong. I'm not fussing at you. So take it. Tell the mastermind I'm not fussing at her. I just want you to know this. Just like I gave you 10 seconds to answer the question, basically you have 60 seconds per question on the exam. And you were there and you know it. But you was trying to add too much stuff to it. And that's what we do
Hmm.
when we're doing the test questions. We're looking at it and we read it and then we start adding words to it. And one little word you add or one word you take away, it messes up the whole test because when you get to
Hmm.
the answers, your mind is going back what you read, and it's an answer right there to fit what you put in your head.
Hmm.
But confidentiality is an ethical responsibility and it's a professional duty for us. And the only thing we're doing is making sure we're not giving out our clients' information without their permission. And there is only one reason we should be giving our clients information. And what is that, Demetria?
Safety. When it.
Safety.
Mhm.
And we still don't even give out everything. We just give out what needs to be given out.
Right.
So we're gonna do this again. What's confidentiality? She thought I was gonna let her ride, huh,
I
mastermind?
sure did. Oh, I sure did. It is our duty to keep our patients' information safe once they give us
Mhm,
their consent, and
mhm.
we only disclose it if there's safety.
It's their safety. And that also includes making sure when we're sending stuff by email or fax, we're
Mhm.
using fax cover sheets. We're making sure we're double checking who email address we're sending it to. You're encrypting. All of that is included
Mhm.
in that. Hey, Miss
Mhm.
Jessica, thanks for joining us.
Sorry, I was late. I was eating and I didn't want to bring my sandwich to the study group.
You're okay. Right now we're in the middle, so you can just listen, and then next piece you'll be engaged in. Informed consent. Who have that?
I do.
Mastermind 10
So,
seconds.
informed consent is a document that a client signs to voluntarily agree to services provided. In the document, they'll find out about fees, they'll find out about the do's and the don'ts, involuntary, not involuntary, but learn that they have options to say yes or no.
Mm-hmm. So, Demetria, what's informed consent? She like, why is she picking on me again?
Informed consent is documents that the patient's client sign. I'm sorry, I say patients. I do patient. I'm sorry, that's what I do. Client sign to give us permission to take care of them.
Mm-hmm. And if it's a minor, who signs that informed consent, mastermind?
The parent or
The
guardian.
parent. So we are right there. The way informed consents look on the exam, there is a assent and there's a consent. Jessica, what's assent? She's like, really? I thought you said you was gonna give me a break.
See, I heard this term before. I think I forget what it is, honestly, because I know it's consent, but I'm wondering if it's the ability for somebody else to consent on someone's behalf.
Who wanna chime in and help her? Go, Mastermind.
So, assent is when you have a minor, or a person who can't give consent, but they give assent for the therapist to talk to whoever. They agree. It's an agreement, but it's not legal.
Demetri, you wanna add to it?
What that's what it is us saying a client can a minor cannot give consent. So they
Mm-hmm.
give us, so basically the parent gives consent and then we still ask, if it's a minor, the parent signs the consent and then we ask the minor child, is it okay that, once we meet with them, your parents giving us consent, but then we still
Mm-hmm.
ask the child, is it okay that we still speak with them?
And other than a child, who else can you do an assent on?
Someone who has, doesn't
There you
have the
go.
mental capacity.
Mhm. Okay, look at her. She like, you ain't gonna keep coming after me. It's all in love for real. I bet you gonna leave here remembering. So who has in locus parentis?
Do and to be honest with you, I don't know what that is, and
Never heard
I
of it.
was gonna Google it, but I thought I'm not gonna Google it because I don't know what it is.
Let's be fair. Anybody know what it is? Mastermind.
Ma'am, I don't know what this is.
We went over this.
I don't
Okay.
remember.
Jessica, you ever heard of it?
No, I have not.
So this is when someone, a lot of times like kids that's in DCS custody and their
Oh,
parents have lost their rights for that moment. So DCS acts, or just say if a parent was in a car accident and they was in a coma or something like that, a family member steps in. It's just for a short period of time to make sure that minor is getting the care that they need, whether it's for medical or something dealing with school. So it's almost like somebody is acting as a surrogate parent just for a temporary time. A lot, but for the most part, in real life, it's DCS that is managing those kids. Did that make
and
sense
it's
to you all?
it is, and I ain't never heard of that, and I
Mhm.
actually do that. That's what I do as a contract where we
Yeah.
call it something else. I
So
never heard
did
of
you
that.
hear? So does it make sense what I was saying when we first started this call now? The way we work is not,
Yes.
it's I'm gonna say this. The test is the way we work, but the way we work is
Right.
abbreviated. We've
Right.
cut some corners, whereas the test is like, I need you to know everything so we can
Right.
stop cutting these corners. So we
Exactly.
do this stuff every day, but we don't know the real name of it or what we're
Right.
doing. But yeah. Jessica, any questions about that one?
No, so it just sounds like when rights aren't fully terminated and someone is assuming custody or rights over the child, like the commissioner of child protective
Mhm.
services is temporarily stepping in to
Mhm.
take full legal responsibility, but the article case hasn't been started yet.
Yep, it's just acting in the place of a parent because that parent is absent or their rights been terminated for a short period of time. It could be an accident, the parent just died.
Hmm.
And so it's too fast. And I'm gonna tell you, I used to work at St. Jude Children's Hospital here in Memphis, and we dealt with it all the time because like a parent being lost, a child is in DCS custody, but they need cancer treatment. And so that DCS worker, we would have to communicate with that DCS worker as if they was the mother or the father, because no one could truly make contact with the parent because they was either in jail or they were ill themselves or they were under an investigation, and so they don't have access to the kids. And it is a form that comes with it, and I charge you all to Google and see how it looks. Someone had their hand raised.
That was me. I heard I was gonna ask for clarification, but I heard what Jessica said.
Okay. Who has negligence?
I do.
Okay.
So negligence is when a parent failed to provide care for a child. It could be like taking them to the hospital if they didn't burn themselves, or making sure that they're fed, or just someone being there with them.
Yep. And what's another way negligence can be used, not just as related to a parent, but related to a social worker?
Uh, like here in Detroit, when the social worker she was reporting that she was going to check on these kids here,
Mm-hmm.
and something happened, and they found out the kids was in the freezer dead, and they had been dead.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yep.
were they in prison right now.
So you all do know negligence is not just applied to parents or our clients or whomever, but it's applied to us, which is one of the common reasons why we have malpractice lawsuits. Do you all know the first primary reason why we stay in trouble as social workers?
Your
Uh,
documentation?
Providing services without informed consent. No.
Sleeping
They're
with
not
our clients.
provided.
What?
No, no way. Oh my God, why?
Yeah. So what happens is it's really easy to happen. It ain't gonna happen to me, but that's what they say. They all say that, right? But
Listen, there are plenty of fish in the sea.
it well, so keep in mind, we just really moved to telehealth, really, when COVID hit. But prior to
Mhm.
that, how did we meet with our clients?
In person.
The
In
face.
person. So just imagine you're a pretty woman, and this man comes to you because his wife just died, and you smell like his wife, and you remind him of her, and he comes in every Wednesday at 12 o'clock to see you, and to him, you just did something miraculous. You're helping him through his grieving process. So week 4 of him meeting with you, he's like, man, Miss Jessica, you know what? I went home and I did what you told me to do, and it just felt so good. He brings you flowers. And the code of ethics does not say you cannot accept the flowers. You can. You really can. You take the flowers, he taps you on your hand. You think nothing because he reached on your desk, or y'all walking out the office. I'm gonna say he shakes your hand. You think nothing of it. But to him, because he's grieving, that's everything to him. And you smell like his wife. He's never told you this though. So now y'all in session, y'all 8 weeks in. I'm gonna say now y'all 3 months in. So now he comes in and he's like, "You done? Oh my God, I'm just doing so great. My older kids are telling me, Dad, we see you're getting better. And I didn't tell them that it's because of my counselor, Miss Jessica, but I want to give you this card." And now it's like $200 in the card. That's where the line is crossed. And you have to pick up on these are cues he's giving you. Are y'all following me? So now y'all are 9 months in, you and broke up with your boyfriend, you and your own feelings, you at LCSW, you working in private practice, so you ain't working with no coworkers no more to really go have this conversation like, oh, I'm having some counter transferring feelings. You're like, Mr. Johnson ain't that bad looking. He's a really nice looking man. He started dressing up, he looking good, he's smelling good. It happens. There's a case here in Memphis. The lady just she was dating a pastor at a mega church. You, you heard about it, Demetria?
But it's funny you say, because sometimes I work, I be joking. I tell my coworkers sometimes, I said, look at old Pop Pop is what I call it when you
Yeah,
said that. And I tell them, I said, look at old Pop Pop done cleaned up sometimes.
yeah.
And when you said that, that's why I got some tickled, because I
Unconsciously,
unconsciously we do say
we
that.
look at our patients because we see them week after. In my consult today, I had to tell these people, y'all, I
Oh,
have a handsome client and he's having a hard time with his girlfriends. And my peers was like, your AWS better not start liking it. I was like, y'all, I'm in a relationship, but that means nothing. Now, again, it ain't gonna happen to me because I work too hard for my license. I'm saying this on
right.
record. But what I'm saying is it happens. We are human and we have
Mhm.
feelings and things happen. And we spend time with, if you spend a year with somebody every week, our clients are in a bad spot. We
Mhm.
become their friend. You're not. You don't say they're your friend, but you become their friend. So they see you different. That's where that counter transference and transference come into play, and it's real, and it will cause you to lose your
Mhm.
job. But I'm gonna fast forward. Young lady had an affair with the pastor. He had her to connect on some online some program where you text, and after you send a text it fade. He took her out of town. She would pay for the trip. He would reimburse her when they got back and stuff like that. She got pregnant, and she was an LPC in Arkansas. She just got sentenced 3 months ago. It's a trial you can go watch, because I watched the whole thing. She drove 1 hour from her house, which is in West Memphis, Arkansas, to Collierville, which is still Memphis, a subdivision of Memphis, an hour and 45 minutes for her. Went to his house, shot and killed him, and shot his wife. And his wife knew the wife knew of them, but she didn't know all of this was going on. So she's no longer an LPC. And the LPC is like our stepsister or our stepbrother.
Mhm.
So it happens because she was spending that much time. He became attractive. You listen to them, you see how much money they're like, oh, I make $100,000. You're like, this is a nice looking man. This is the kind of man I want to be with. So it happens, and that's the number one reason we lose our job,
That was her
because the
client.
code of ethics does not say we cannot sleep with them. It says we should not sleep with them, and if we do, we take full responsibility of anything that happens.
That was her
Questions?
client. That was her client.
That was her client. Y'all
Dr.
have
Turner. Is it
questions?
is it Dr. Turner?
What's her first name?
No, the pastor.
I can't remember his name, but it was at a mega church here in Memphis. I'll text it to you.
Okay, that's crazy. Wow.
Questions, comments, concerns. Look, Demetri over there like, man, I gotta stop talking, calling this man Pop Pop.
No, it's just funny because I work at a memory assessment clinic, and I test people for dementia,
Mhm,
and we get a lot of people, and I know just what you're saying, and I
mhm,
do get a lot of people come in there, and they come in there, and I get a lot of older people come in there, and I get a lot of older men coming there dressed up,
mhm,
and that's what I called a lot of my older, and I call them the sporty men coming in. That's what I call them, the little pop pops. And they come in there and they come in there. She thinking about you so crazy. I said they come in with little gator skin boots
yeah.
on. And you're right. And I don't spend sessions with them because I only
Mhm,
do 2-visit model is what I normally do. But I know just what you're saying. But you,
yeah.
you are definitely right. The little men come in and they do just a little attention. You're
Mhm.
definitely right. I know just what you're saying because we do
It
get a lot
catches
of them
their
that
attention,
it
and
does catch their
they're
attention because
loving
they
you,
do.
Jessica, and you don't even know it.
You're definitely right, and we
And
and we
so
do get that quite
that's why you
frequently.
have to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
y'all, we
I
got
work with
Jessica.
the substance abuse population and a lot of forensics, so we have to. I mean, I'm a hospital social worker now, but their sentencing was contingent on like my reports, and so
Mm.
sometimes they would try to be overly friendly, thinking
Mm-hmm.
that I was gonna do something and in exchange for that.
Mm-hmm.
So part of that is just like me rolling my eyes, and it's like, okay. You came to session. Now let's just keep going. Like, like, and I would have to stop them. And I'm like, nope, that's inappropriate. We can't, my life is not a part of this, sentencing.
And
Or
you're
it's
setting
why is that
boundaries.
valid, to you? Because
Mm-hmm.
they would sometimes want to know about you and
Yep.
say, oh, well, I'm talking about myself. Why can't you talk about you?
Mm-hmm. You do have to
Mhm.
set boundaries. I know someone had duty to warn, but I would give it to Jessica. Jessica, define duty to warn in 10 seconds.
A duty to warn, I believe, is the Tarakoff case where you have to report to authorities when there's a credible threat of violence against another individual.
Mhm. Okay. And that where did that stem from? What state?
I don't remember. I know that it's a case.
Anybody know the state? California. And
Mm.
so what ended up happening was a client came in and told the counselor that they had plans to kill someone. The counselor did not act on it. That counselor, so when our clients go out there and kill themselves or kill somebody else and they come back and find out, welcome, Miss Muhammad. So when our clients go out and do things to themselves, it comes back, they come back and trace that they had a counselor, you will be brought in. And that's how that person was it was found that they didn't share the information. So that's when the terror duty to warn terror South versus Regents in California came into play. Now on the exam, which you all sometimes you'll see, and Dr. Pam asks us to express this tremendously, that if our clients come in and tell us that they already killed their wife or their husband, that is not duty to warn, and you will go to your grave with that information. Anybody knows why?
Because they already
The
dead.
harm has already
It's
passed.
already happened. And the second part to it is when we come to work and serve our clients, our goal is to protect them by any means necessary. So if the police never contact you, or not the police, but if the court or a judge never summons you into court to speak on that, you take it to your grave. Did that make sense
Mm,
what I just said?
mm,
Okay. So it's already been done. As devastating as it may be, your client sitting there with blood on his hand and on his shirt talking about, I just killed my wife. She in the trunk. She dead. There's
mm.
nothing you can do about it. Oh yeah. We say you have a tough job. That's why the test wants to make sure you know what you're supposed to be doing. Uh-oh, your name changed. Is it Perez? Uh-oh.
Hi, so I my name is Sophia.
Sophia.
I think I logged into my husband's Zoom, so I had to change it to my.
Okay. Hey, Sophia, thanks for joining us.
How are you today? I lost track of time. Like, oh
It's okay. Professional disclosure statement. Sophia, tell us what you know about professional disclosure statement in 10 seconds.
my God. Professional disclosure. Uh, Not sure.
Professional disclosure statement. Your professional disclosure statement.
I'm not like letting people know like who I am. Like
Keep
so
going.
so so if someone asks you like I guess like what are your credentials? You want to be as honest as possible about it. You don't want to over amplify something that you're not. So if
Mm-hmm.
you don't specialize in something, we're not going to, right?
Girl,
So
you got it. Give me a high five.
I'm like, what is that?
She put me on the spot, but that's where you need to be. So you all, that's what professional disclosure statement is. This is what you're telling your clients according to the NASW when you first meet them. This is who I am. This is what I'm trained to do. My name is Sherry Bogart. I'm a private practice, a licensed clinical social worker. I've been doing this for X amount of years. I'm trained in trauma. I'm trained in CB2, CBT. These are my fees. If you come show up late, if you 15 minutes late, you're gonna pay me $55 and I'm not going to see you. If your insurance stop paying, those are things, and it should be in writing, and your client should be able to see this. If you tell me you want to hurt somebody or you plan on hurting someone, it is my right. You even include that in there. Questions, comments, or concerns about the professional disclosure statement? Okay. So, anybody mad at me so far?
Ain't nobody be mad at you, Miss
Okay,
Sherr.
you can't be mad at me. Demetria, you still with me?
I'm gone.
So you all, this is I am getting ready to show my screen. We are again talking about code of ethics, professional code of ethics, the NASW code of ethics. And we're going to do true, false questions. If you've seen this before, that's great because now you're about to challenge yourself to see if you really know what you're supposed to know. Just 1 second. Questions, comments, or concerns? Anybody before I pull the screen up? Anything that's on your mind right now? Okay.
you know what? I'm just wondering, Dr. Sherry. Like, I just pulled up this lady and this pastor. You should have never told me that.
Oh Lord.
And I'm just sitting here looking at her and looking at him, and I'm like, damn, did she have a therapist? Like, she needed to talk to somebody to say, I'm falling in love with this guy. Like,
So that's the thing when you're private practice, and this is part, it's in our content. We are do collaterals, and you're
mhm.
supposed to recognize counter transference. Have any of you all ever had an issue with counter transference?
Yep, I have.
Did you recognize
I
it?
haven't.
Yep,
Nobody? Okay.
I
So I
did.
tell y'all my experience with counter transference. Again, I was working in a hospital. At this time, all my clients were HIV positive, and they were all between the ages of birth to 25 years of age. So all of my clients had HIV. Either they were born with it or they contracted it by somebody, whether it was a case of being raped, molested, or just being involved with somebody intimately. So I had at this time my daughter was about 16, 17. And my daughter and I, we have a love-hate relationship. I don't sugarcoat nothing. I love her to death, but we love each other better when we're apart. And so I was having issues at home with my own child. And you all know we're like preachers. You ever heard the joke about the preacher kids? That really ain't a joke. Like the preacher can come take care of everybody else's kids, but his kids out there being in trouble all the time. That's us as social workers. So we can help everybody else, but we got problems in our home. Needless to say, I had a client that resembled my daughter with the demeanor. And I, every time I knew she was coming in and I had to see her, I cringed on the inside. I was like, I do not want to see this girl. I do not want to see this girl. And so because I was having countertransference issues, she was picking up on that. And so when you work in a facility, you should be having supervision. So I did my individual supervision, and one day I just told my supervisor I can't work with her. And so we talked it through, but based on our code of ethics, when you don't like a client for whatever reason because they resemble somebody you know, or it looks like a problem in your home, you have to set your feelings aside. You go to supervision or
Mhm.
you do consultation if you have private practice, and you have to work with that client until the client says that they don't want to work with you anymore. However, it also tells us we should be able to recognize when we don't like our clients. It is okay to say, I don't like this client. Not to them, but you need to say it to someone so they can get you through it, because you cannot let that client go unless they want to be let go from you. Did that make sense?
Right. Right.
And it happens. I'm glad it hasn't happened to you. So transference is when your client stars, you have a young client. I'm gonna use the same young girl I had. And instead of me not liking her, she could have gravitated to me extremely strong. It's like, oh, she reminds me of my mom. And she could have started every time she see me, she want to hug me if her and her mom had that type of relationship or whatever. In this case, she was in foster care and she hated her foster parents. So the good thing was she went back to my supervisor. She went to my supervisor one day and said, Miss Sherry treats me like I'm her daughter and I don't want to be her client anymore. So it worked in my favor. She got off my caseload. I did a lot of praying, y'all, but she got off my caseload because it does create problems, because sometimes it is hard to work through trying to help somebody when you just don't have a connection with them. So we're
Mhm.
real, we're humans. True story. So do y'all know what countertransference and transference is now? Okay. Um, are y'all able to see the screen? So,
Yes.
Sophia, you're gonna be first. Jessica, because I this is how I see y'all on my screen. Demetria, and then Mastermind. So Sophia, go first.
The NASW Code of Ethics is a set of rules that prescribe all behaviors in complexities of professional work and practices. Uh, I want to say it's true, but then I'm looking at prescribes all behaviors in complexity of professional work and practices, but I don't know which professional works is it referring to? So I want to say it's false.
Okay. Anybody agree with her? Okay. I am going to reveal the answer. You got it right.
Okay.
So I heard you struggling in there. Be confident in what you're reading. You all, we know this, you all. So, like you said, you was like, oh, there's something in there. So, like you said, the complexity of professional work and practice. So just keep in mind when you're reading, be confident in it. Jessica, number 2.
Clinicians should take additional steps if necessary to ensure a client's comprehension of informed consent contract. True?
You said that with confidence. Who disagreed with Jessica? Everybody agree with you, Jessica? There you go. Why did you say true?
Because it's our responsibility, our fiduciary responsibility to ensure that our clients understand what we are asking them to agree to partake in.
And how are you supposed to talk to your clients, all of your clients, and what type of language?
We should be using language that's familiar to the client. We should be using language, we are academics, but our clients may not be academics.
Mm-hmm.
We may have clients that do not have dominance over the English language, and we should be able to provide accurate translation services.
So what they have taught us is you talk to all your clients like they're third graders. Has anybody ever heard that? Yep. And it's not that you're belittling anyone, it's just you're using the same language across the board, and it's just that in essence means you're just speaking on a level that everyone can understand, just what Jessica said. Questions, comments, or concerns so far? Okay. Demetria?
The Code of Ethics does not cover research activities for social workers. That would be false.
Why you say false?
Because it tells us that we should study, do learn, and um, do studying and um, learning and researching for stuff for our clients and partaking in researching literature and reading and reviews and all that stuff, peers
Speaking
and
of
all that.
literature, how do we end up doing the work that we do? Where does it come from? Right here.
From research.
Research.
Mhm.
So anything we do with our clients, it is always supposed to be evidence-based practice. Has anybody ever heard that?
Right,
And
right,
so evidence-based practice comes from research. So that's how
right.
why we be like, why we gotta do research? We hate it. No, we have to do research. Research is how we are able to say this was done. This is so many people had EMDR done on them and it worked. So yes, ethically, safely, clinically, and through lit review, we know EMDR is safe. So that's how all of that stuff comes abreast. Anybody have questions, comments, or concerns behind it? Okay. Mastermind,
Couples should be informed that both reconciliation and divorce are possible outcomes of therapy.
Go back and close my door. Oh,
you
Um,
okay?
I'm gonna go with true.
Why true?
Because we don't know, we don't know if it's going to end in divorce or reconciliation. And, so you need to tell them because they may be thinking, hey, we're going to therapy, it's going to work.
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what it is. And so with couples, because there's a lot of couple questions that shows up on the exam, but the realistic piece, it's with any of our clients. We have to tell all of our clients because when they come to us, they're not always in crisis state, but they're at their lowest. And so when they come to us, they think we're magicians. Y'all may think I'm joking, but that's what they're like. I'm gonna go to the clinician because they're gonna fix me. And so when they come in, you have to be upfront because when somebody is at their lowest, they don't think straight. And so if things don't end up the way, if they come to you and they come to you thinking you're about to fix the problem, and then they start paying you. I have clients that have to pay me $150 a week. cash. So do you think at some point they're gonna be like, this lady's supposed to be able to fix me? And they watching a Yana Van Zet and all this stuff on social media. So y'all know social media are our enemies right now because they're putting things in people's head and making them believe. But the point I want you to understand, and this is one of your disclaimers you give at the beginning of a session, but for the sake of the test, you're always letting people know that you can leave here worse than how you came, or you can leave better. Questions, comments, or concerns behind what I just said? Okay. Who's next? I think it's Sophia.
Me? Okay. The NASW Code of Ethics is relevant to all social workers and social work students, regardless of their professional functions, the settings in which they work, or the population they serve. True?
You already know what I'm about to ask you, Sophia.
Like why?
Mm-hmm.
Um, because the Code of Ethics is relevant to all, everyone that's in the social work profession. Like there's no discrimination.
Mm-hmm. Why is it important to students?
Um, because those students are going to pursue the profession at some
There you
point.
go. There
They
you
have
go.
they have responsibility as well.
So it does not omit. Now, this is for an intradisciplinary team. And so intradisciplinary team would be social workers. So like I say that because are you all familiar? Has anybody worked on an interdisciplinary team before?
Like
Eh,
inter.
inter.
Oh, inter. Okay.
And the reason I put emphasis on that because a lot of times when we work with an interdisciplinary team, we have doctors and nurses that sometimes are the leaders. There's a lot of companies that sometimes don't have a LCSW on staff. And so that doctor or that nurse is your supervisor. And they would try to tell you to do things that we're not supposed to be doing. Has anybody ever experienced that?
Yes.
Uh-huh. So y'all see what I'm talking about. So that's why it's important to know this. The test wants you to know if you get in a position where you're working with you're the only social worker, you need to know the rules. I had a nurse one time try. I said, lady, I'm not doing that. My code of ethics said I can't do that. And y'all, it got bad after that. My job went from the perfect job to it got so bad I had to quit. And she never let that go. I was like, you a nurse. You can do that, but I can't. I can show you. She said, I don't need to see your code of ethics. I was like, well, okay. So keep that in mind. Questions, comments, or concerns behind that? Okay. Jessica?
I don't like this question. Uh, Therapists should terminate services if they wish to pursue social, financial, or sexual relationships with the client. That's true. We should terminate if we're going to try to do it.
Why should you terminate it, Jessica? Uh-oh. Did my screen go blank?
No, not on our side. I can still see.
Really?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, just 1 second. It just did something. Okay. You all can still see?
Hmm.
I'm
Yes.
teaching class. Okay. So you said true, why, Jessica?
Because we don't have dual relationships. So we stay in that space with them.
Now, what did she say? True? No,
She said
false. We
true.
can't.
Read the
We
Oh,
question
shouldn't
again,
terminate
Jessica.
services, but given the situation here,
Read it again, Jessica.
therapists should terminate services if they wish to pursue a social, financial, or sexual relationship with the client.
You looking like, how is that?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's the wrong thing to do. You should never get into it
You
with
should never
anybody,
get
but
into it.
I still don't know why it's wrong.
So remember, I don't know if you was on the call earlier. The code of ethics does not say we cannot have a relationship with them. It just says we take full responsibility for anything that happens. And I want you also to understand that sometimes dual relationships cannot be avoided. And I think we get that mixed up too.
mhm,
Um,
mhm.
I give you the best case scenario that I can think of. I live in a big city. Demetria live in Georgia, big city. So if everybody like Georgia is known for like styles and beauty and all that other stuff. So I'm just gonna say if you if the majority of therapists in Georgia is giving clients sessions for to get their hairstyle, it can be done. And I just gave the magic word. So Jessica, why can it be done?
It's a local practice within the community, so bartering is acceptable.
So there are times where things now with the so that'll be like a financial piece. No, we're not supposed to be having sex with our clients. So you don't terminate. And remember, we can't terminate the services. I just gave y'all an example on that. Who has to
Mm-hmm.
terminate the services?
Client.
The client. So does it make sense what I just said?
Yeah.
Right.
So it looks tricky, but that's why we have to know these things. She like, I'm taking this back to Dr. Pam to make sure it's right. I can
I
tell
don't
how
know. I
you
mean,
looking.
why anybody would get into a relationship with the client, it gives me a visceral reaction because we pay a lot of money for our education. This is stupid.
Jessica, I want you to go out there and read them statistics before the end of the week. You will see it happens. It's stupid. It sounds stupid, but it happens because we are human. And Eric Erickson says we are made to eat, sleep, and procreate. Does it make sense? We are made to eat, sleep, and have sex. So, in that, we are attracted to people. We are attracted to things. None of us are meant to be alone. It matters in our profession, but no, we should not. And believe it or not, there are clients that are married. There are people that are now, there used to be a client that's married to their then therapist, and they're happy. And the therapist ain't never quit their job. It's wrong, but it happens. Now, I'm just gonna say them people been married for 10 years. If the client comes back and say, this used to be my therapist 10 years ago, and now they're detrimental to me, even 10 years later, that client can go report her husband or his wife or whatever, and that therapist is still held responsible 10 years later.
Yeah,
I'm
because see
trying to
what
make it make
happened.
sense.
Yeah, because we get ready to get a divorce, and now I come back wanting to. We get a message. If what if we separate and get a divorce, and now decide I want to come after your professional license?
And they do.
Yeah.
But is it making sense? I know y'all don't like it. I didn't make this up. I didn't believe it either, Jessica. It took me a long time to believe it too. But now I'm in a private practice. I believe it. I see it. I remind myself. Thank God I got a man. So I don't have to go chasing after one of my clients. All righty, y'all. Jessica, we gonna run into something that's gonna spark your attention again. Demetria, I need you to leave, sir.
The code of ethic requires social workers to make every effort to foster the self determination of clients. True.
Before you answer, what's
Oh,
self-determination, Demetria?
that's the client's right to make their own decisions.
Do y'all know on the test the person that has the most rights to self-determination?
The client, the
It's a certain type of client. It's a
Stable
victim of
clients?
domestic violence.
oh,
Okay.
Okay, what's your answer, Demetria? And I'll tell you why in a minute.
true.
True. And why is it true?
Because we always want the clients to make their own decisions if possible. We want to empower them to make their own decisions.
Okay. So on the exam, a kid does not have a right to self-determination, especially if they're being abused or neglect. And remember, we report
Right,
off of suspicion even on the exam. Are y'all following me so far?
right.
So if the exam says a kid is being abused and the kid is with the therapist or the social worker and the kid said, please don't report this, you still have to report it. They lost their right of self-determination. If a person 65, because y'all know numbers, age is important when you're reading a vignette. Sex is important when you're reading a vignette. The location is important, but I'm not going to get into all of that. So, but in this case, if a person is 65 or older, oftentimes we think, oh, they got dementia, they got Alzheimer's or whatever. If this person says they're 65 or older, there's nothing in the vignette that indicates that they have any type of cognition distortion, and they say my daughter is stealing all of my money because she manages my social security check. They don't say it exactly like that, but I don't have any food to eat. That person has the right to self-determination. So you cannot say, oh, I'm going to report this to APS, Adult Protective Services, if that person is deemed competent and has indicated in the vignette they do not want you to report it. Questions, comments, or concerns behind it? Because those are test questions I'm telling you about. Jessica, you looking like your brain twirling over there. What you got to say, Jessica?
No, I ain't saying
Nothing?
nothing.
Okay. The other thing is, if there is a victim of domestic violence or intimate partner violence, which often on the exam, it refers to the victim as a female. If she says that she's in the hospital and it's indicated that he broke her nose, and she says don't call the police or anything, you can't do it. However, if the vignette indicates there was a child, whether the kid's at school, if the vignette said the kid's at school, but it still identifies her as a victim of DV, or it says that the kids hear the parents fighting at night, she loses her right to self-determination. Did that make sense?
Right.
Questions, comments, concerns, because these are test questions.
Yeah. Because if children in the home, domestic violence, all they have to do is hear it.
Hear
They don't
or
have to
see.
see it.
They can
Right.
hear or see it. All right. Mastermind, number 8.
When treating a couple, the clinician only needs informed consent from one individual. I'll say false.
Why you say false?
You're seeing two people, and I would think that both need to give consent to be treated.
There you go. So everybody understand this one? No questions, no comments, concerns. Okay. So now I'm gonna take it a step further. The couple break up and they have kids and they go to court, and then one of the couple's attorney comes to you and say, I need your notes.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Demetria, what'd you do?
If they break up and one of the attorneys come and want their notes, what do I do? I would have to notify the other party that they want the records before I can release the records. And they would have to get a subpoena to get those records.
Okay. Jessica, what do you do?
I would assert privilege.
Okay. Sophia, what do you do? Uh-oh, I think did you miss what I said, Sophia?
I did. I
Okay.
had to.
Okay. Mastermind, what do you do?
You don't give the records. You don't give the records. You said an attorney, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you don't give the records to
Mm-mm.
an attorney.
You don't even acknowledge to that
Yeah.
attorney that you work with that couple.
Do you only give records to the judge if the judge requests for those records?
So on the exam, the magic word you're looking for is judge or court. That's the
Okay.
only time you give out records. So the word judge and court is used simultaneously.
Okay.
If
But
it
you
says
do the same thing for the test.
But
Okay.
if it says a lawyer, you
No.
don't even acknowledge, because at that time you just if there's a couple and they split and they got kids and they go into court, and one of their lawyers, I'm just gonna say his lawyer come to you as the therapist and say, I need your records because I know you was working with Mr. and Ms. Bogart, you're not even gonna acknowledge to that lawyer, because if you acknowledge, you just broke confidentiality.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
So we don't respond to subpoenas, we just respond to court orders.
Court orders or yeah, that's correct, or something that's coming from the judge.
Because because sometimes, people are using the words interchangeably, and even on some people that write their own test questions, they're not differentiating between subpoena, which is just a request. A order is a direct mandate from the court.
Now, if you see the word subpoena from the court or subpoena from the judge, you can release it. If you see the word subpoena from an attorney, no. I could subpoena you to court. I'm a landlord. I own property here in Memphis. I could subpoena people to court all the time if I want something from them. So anybody can issue a subpoena. But that's why you got to know content for the sake of the test. So even if the word subpoena, I'm glad you brought it up. Thanks for bringing it up. If you see the word subpoena and it's vague and it don't have judge or court in there, be mindful and just make sure you're paying attention to your answer choices too.
Dr. Sherr,
Huh?
you know what I noticed too? I received a subpoena once before, and they try to apply pressure. Them attorneys, they try to apply pressure, and if you don't know, you'll slip up and give them your
You'll give it
records.
to them.
Yeah,
You
because
sure
they
will.
come with pressure.
And so you just ignore it.
Yeah.
Did that make sense, Jessica?
Hmm.
Okay.
We get it too
Oh.
with cops too, that they call the hospital and they're like, you have to tell me if this person's here or
Mhm.
you're gonna face obstruction charges. Like,
Yep.
people try to really do that. I ignore them.
You ignore, and you're right, and you won't get in trouble for it.
Hmm.
They're gonna try to push it, but yeah. Um, who just read?
I
I
did.
forgot who.
It was
It
me.
was just mastermind. So it's Sophia's turn.
Uh,
Number 9.
Number 9. A therapist should document that the therapist obtained informed consent for treatment from the client. Um, should document that therapist obtains informed consent. True.
Why you think that's true?
Because documenting is, well, you always want to get informed consent, right? And documenting it never really hurts.
Oh, I like your word, but it needs to be stronger. If we don't document, we cannot prove it did not happen. So even
That's
though
right.
you got a informed consent and it's signed, that's a form of documentation. But you want to put somewhere in your note that I obtained consent from this person today to do yada yada yada
To start cheap. Okay.
or whatever you're doing. Yep. You got a consent to start treatment. I obtain consent from this person to release this information. And then, you have your consents and then you have your release of information. Sometimes those words can be used interchangeably as well.
Okay.
Questions, comments, concerns behind it? Are y'all gaining anything out of doing this? Okay.
Yes.
Jessica, it's your go.
The COE does not address the issues of fees. That's false.
She be saying it with confidence. That's false. Why is false, Jessica?
Because it covers bartering and what happens with non-payment.
Yep, there you go. And y'all do know COE is for what?
Code of ethics.
Code of
Voted.
ethics. Because it can occasionally pop up on the exam as COE. Why is it, Jessica, why is it important to address fees?
Well, because we should be entitled to be paid for our services, but
Mhm.
also that could endanger the delivery of services.
Mhm.
So services, have to be paid
Yep.
for in line with the agency's guidelines or in line with your guidelines.
Mhm. There you go. I tell you, a client not paying you can really change your whole attitude about that client because you have bills to pay. And so nothing is free. Anybody wanted to add to that? Demetria, number 11.
The therapist has an ethical duty to inform clients of possible outcomes of treatment. True.
Why is it true?
Because the clients need to know, one, what to expect out of the treatment, and they need to know if they're progressing even once they start treatment. But they should know what they're supposed to receive. Anytime you get something, you need to know what to expect out of what you're getting.
So if y'all remember earlier, someone had the question about the couples need to know. This is what I was telling you. It's not just couples, all your clients need to know. Hey, you can come out better or you can come out worse. I don't have a
Mhm.
magic wand, but we are going to work together to try to get you in a better position. Number 12, mastermind.
A therapist is obligated to break confidentiality if a client has thoughts of suicide. Is false.
Why is it false?
Because you can have thoughts of suicide, but there's no plan.
And in real life, I know we're supposed to be talking about the test. In real life, if a client says they have thoughts, what is your job at that time?
You assess.
You assess. So you're assessing for what?
Uh, um,
Starts with the S.
it starts with the S.
Mm-hmm. SAF. Everybody wanna
Safety.
safety. There you go.
Oh, okay, okay.
You assessing for safety. You want to make sure you also give them some type of plan. So when they leave your office, if you feel this way, call 988. Everybody know what 988 is, right?
Hmm.
What is it?
Suicide hotline.
And we should actually be telling our clients to call 988 versus 911, but you can still say you can still call 911. It needs to have who else they can call, because theoretically you don't want them calling you if they're suicidal, because that puts you in a whole nother category. And if they do call you saying that they are actively suicidal and this is outside of your session, what should you do?
If they're actively suicidal, you send the police over there, right?
Or what else can you do?
Mobile
Or you call
crisis?
the emergency
Mobile crisis.
contact.
There you go.
What was it? What was it? I didn't hear that.
Mobile crisis.
Mobile crisis. Okay.
So if your client calls you after hours and say, I'm suicidal, I don't care what you're doing. You could be at your mama 90th birthday party. You need to step to the restroom and make sure you get them transferred over to the crisis hotline, which is 988. And once the crisis hotline get them, you get off that call and you go document what happened. Once their crisis is over, if the crisis hotline decides to commit them in a facility, once they come out the facility, then they come back to you. Questions, comments, or concerns behind it? Okay. Number 13. Who's next? Sophia.
The code of ethics requires respect for a client's privacy. True.
Why is it true?
You always want to respect clients' privacy unless if it's a safety issue.
How do you respect clients' privacy? Give me 2 or 3 ways you respect their privacy.
So during like a counseling session, if a client discloses something that's not a safety concern, you're supposed to, like, as a social worker, keep like keep it to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Another example that I can think of is like oftentimes when you work with an older population and if let's say the caregiver, which is their children, like you shouldn't really be disclosing things to their kids because they're not your clients. It's the right. So if you're working, so it's stuff like that
Yeah.
that I can think of. But yeah, you always want to try to respect if they're stable.
There you go. And one of the test questions, I'm glad you brought that up, Sophia, too. Like if you have um a 13-year-old client that identifies as part of the LBGTQ, and because they're 13, they say don't tell their parents. You cannot tell their parents. That's not only the test, that's real life. Because you
Yeah.
can put that child in harm's way. Questions, comments, or concerns behind it. Okay. Jessica, 14.
The COE does not offer guidelines for disputes among colleagues. False.
Tell me why.
It outlines speaking to colleagues first before going to supervisors to discuss interpersonal disputes.
hmm So the way those test questions look, you got a colleague that's coming in drunk and you know they're intoxicated. You are going to say something to them However, what I need you to pay attention to, if the vignette says you have already talked to your coworker and they continue to come to work, what is the next thing you do?
Supervisor.
There you go. And people get that mixed up because they be like, well, they told us we talked to our colleague first, but you didn't read the vignette. So just make sure you're paying attention to that. Mastermind, you moved. So, Demetria.
Yes. A therapist is obligated to break confidentiality if there is reasonable suspicion of child abuse. True.
Why is it true?
Because anytime we suspect child abuse of a child abuse, you report.
There you go. And the word is you report under suspicion. Even if you don't think, you do it. Even if you work on an interdisciplinary team and the doctor says don't, you do it. Mastermind.
A therapist is required to exert privilege if the husband calls and asks for information about his wife's treatment. True.
Why is it true?
Because you're supposed to maintain confidentiality. Whoa.
Ah,
Well, that threw me. Help!
go back and read it. Look at the word.
A therapist is required to exert privilege. Oh, that's privileges for the courts.
You see how we don't read something right?
Yeah. I hear Dr. Pam say, didn't I tell you it was a reading test?
It's a reading today. There you go. Everybody laughing at you. That's where it tricks you up at because we rolling. It's like, oh, look at that. But one word, if you don't pay attention to one word, you add or take away something, it messes up the whole thing. But the reality of you still don't give him information. Anybody want to add? Okay. Sophia.
According to the code of ethics, you should only accept a job that you have the skills to perform. True.
Why is that true?
Uh, because our priority is the best interest of our clients, and if you don't have the skills, then how are you going to, help that client out in the first place?
You could be more detrimental. So if you go to an EMDR training and you get a 1 hour CEU, should you be practicing EMDR?
No.
No. And that's we get that, y'all. We do it. We be like, oh, I went to 16 EMDR trainings and got 16 hours. EMDR is like a 3-year training.
Yeah, it's
So
extensive too.
so if you go out there, tell me and you can, and we had our consultation today, my peers and I, and somehow a person name came up that's applying for a job at one of the companies we know. And everybody, I've never seen the person, but everybody was like, is she really even a social worker? And she's saying she's trained in alcohol and drugs. She has like all these trainings, and that is possible. But I don't think for somebody that's 35, it's possible to be trained in everything. And I think she's getting it confused with just some 1 hour CEU courses. So, yes, it does. The Code of Ethics says the word it uses is we must be competent. And if we're not competent, we need to refer the client out to someone who can do it in a best manner. Jessica?
If a client has a plan to vandalize someone's car, the therapist should warn both the victim and the police. False.
Why?
Because property is not imminent harm.
There you go. And people say true. Why do you think they say true? It's just
I mean, because they think it's a crime. So they think that you have to report the crime.
I'm whispering, Jessica. It's just what Mastermind did. You know what she just did? She had read her question too fast. So it was so what they see is the therapist should warn. That's all they don't even pay attention to the part about a car being vandalized. Did you get what I was just saying, Jessica?
I'm going too fast.
Yeah, if you got it right, but I was just saying when people say true, why do you think they say true? Okay. You laughing, Demetria.
Oh.
Number 19.
A therapist can make exceptions to confidentiality rules if the therapist's clients are involved in a federally funded research project. I'm going to say false
Why?
because I don't know what them being involved in a federally funded research project would have to do with my confidentiality.
There you go. I confidentiality is still confidentiality. And most if anything to me say federal, I'm like, it's really confidential to me.
Right.
You don't want to play with nobody. Sophia over there
Don't
laughing. You
want to
don't
be
want to
tied
play
up
with
with the
no with the
feds.
feds in it. So
Don't want to be bothered with the feds.
there you go. And while we're there, you all, I want you to understand too, when you insert privilege, even with the judge or the court, at some point they may say, I don't care about you inserting privilege. Jessica, Demetria, Sophia, Mastermind, I need your client records. Guess what you're going to do?
Release the
You
records.
release them. Because at that point, when the judge of the court has said, I'm not allowing you to insert privilege, you're going to look at your client and you're going to say, remember, I gave you that disclaimer. I did all that I can do, but right now I cannot go to jail. Because if you don't release that information, you will be held in contempt.
Right.
And we don't go to jail for our clients.
Yeah.
That's the end of it.
Right. I tell them I don't look good in stripes.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what I always say. That's the way I always put. I say I don't look good in stripes. I do polka dots. I
Yeah,
don't do
not
stripes.
stripes. Mastermind 20.
A therapist is obligated to break confidentiality if there is a reasonable suspicion of domestic violence. False,
Why is it false?
because there's not a kid in danger, and you can't break confidentiality if the person don't tell you to.
If they don't tell you to. Sophia,
A therapist can refuse to treat a client if the client practices a fundamentalist religion. False.
why is that false?
I think there's only a couple of. I think with refusing to treatment, I think there's only like a few reasons. I forget what the specifics, but I know you cannot refuse. You cannot outrightly just refuse.
You're right. You are correct. And so even with that, yeah, and that's the thing when it comes to religion and culture, even if we're not thoroughly trained, when you finish, especially when you get your LCSW, you should have some knowledge. So what you do is just, let people know up front what you do or don't know, but you just don't refuse. Now, if it's, you can educate the client, and at that point, after you educate them, if they say, you know what, I don't want you to work with me, then you refer out. Let's see. Do you all want to go to the book, or do you all want to continue the questions and we answer and we discuss?
Questions. I like the questions.
Y'all like the questions?
Mhm.
Okay. 22. Jessica.
Therapists have an ethical responsibility to take reasonable care in maintaining client confidentiality while using electronic devices. True.
Mm-hmm. So give us some electronic devices that we use.
AI,
Oh,
EMRs.
mm-hmm.
Some people use Teams or their cell phones,
Oh, let's talk about cell phones, Jessica. Are we really supposed to be using them?
unless they're company issued.
Company issue. So this is what's getting us in trouble, and it happened during COVID. This is actually one of the changes that came in the 2021 Code of Ethics changes, and I'll make sure you all get a copy of that. But what it's saying is, even if we should be using a company issue cell phone, but if we have to use our cell phone, you do not keep the client's name in your cell phone. So a lot of people say, well, I attach initials or whatever. If you all have an iPhone, now it's set up where you can log in twice. So like if you after you log into to unlock your phone, just say if you have Google on your phone, you can set it up where you have to do an extra login into the Google. Like it could be face or fingerprint or something like that. So our our smart devices are starting to get there. As I mentioned earlier, if you send a fax, you should have a cover sheet. You should also have a disclaimer on text, the end, where it says this is confidentiality. If it was sent to you in error, make sure you send it back. That should be included on your text messages, your fax, anything that you mail out, which nobody mails anymore. Did y'all know a stamp is 80 cents? Yeah, I thought
I
that.
didn't know that.
Yeah, it went from 30, 40 cents to 80 now. Um, so also you have to make sure your client knows how to use electronic devices as well. Jessica, tell us about that.
You mean like ZocDoc or like telemed stuff? You have to make sure that
All of
they
it.
understand how to log
Mhm.
into the EMR
Mhm.
and how to access the patient portal.
Yep. So, and patient portals are what we supposed to be using now. That became effective, I want to say 3.5, 4 years ago now. And so we are supposed to be pushing things through patient portals, and we should not be sending messages from our personal emails either. And things
I
should
think
be
they call
encrypted.
them closed systems where it stays within the agency's intranet.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Yep. Questions, comments, and concerns behind that? All righty. So if your client does not understand how to use electronic devices and you've explained it to them in a third grade language and they still don't get it, that means you cannot partake in anything. You cannot fax. They don't know how to use. They like, I don't know how to retrieve this off the fax machine. Don't send it to them. If they're having a hard time, you have a virtual session and they always having a hard time logging on. You cannot meet with them, because 9 times out of 10, it's somebody in their house sitting behind them while they're on that session with you. 23, Demetria.
As a supervisor, you should not have sexual relationships with the supervisee. That is true. You should not,
Why?
because you're only supposed to have a professional relationship, and that gives us a dual relationship.
Mm-hmm. Now people would say, but I work at the hospital and the doctor and his wife are both doctors and they both work. That's them doctors. We're not doctors. We're social workers. And even with a PhD, we still social workers. So don't try to do what y'all see other professions do, because you would get in trouble. Now the code of ethics still says, it's that caveat there, the supervisor and the supervisee can have a relationship, but the supervisor would take full responsibility if something happens to the supervisee. Y'all understand? Because I don't want you to walk away and say, Sherry gave us some test questions and it said it should not. Because I gave a caveat. Everybody heard it? Okay. The other thing is, this is another thing that the Code of Ethics teaches us, is when we are the social worker, well, even with our clients, this kind of applies to, we're not even supposed to ask our clients to go out and do reviews for us, because we're seen as the person with the highest power. So even though if they want to say no, if the supervisor wants to tell the supervisor, no, I don't want to have a relationship with you, but they think if they tell the supervisor no and it's going to create a conflict, they just go ahead and do it. That's because that supervisor has power over them. So typically people just say yes. Did that make sense to y'all? So yeah, we
Yes,
have power. Somebody want to say something? Okay. Uh Demetri, you just read the last one.
I did.
Okay. Mastermind.
If an HIV positive client discloses intent to have unprotected sex with someone, the therapist has a duty to warn that individual. I'm going to say false,
Why?
because you have to maintain confidentiality.
There you go. Anybody want to dispute that one? Absolutely, by law, we cannot tell someone's diagnosis. Now, what I do want to tell you, because I worked in HIV all my life, it's 99 people that know that one person is HIV positive. But they all are probably staff like the health department, you who's working with them, or the people in the medical field, most definitely. But it is not your duty to tell. This is almost like a LBGTIQ plus question. It is not your job to out someone, and it is a test question. So outing, I know it's off the record, but while we're here, outing is not for you to tell. If your friend comes to you and say, I identify for the LBG, they have to go tell the world or whoever, but not you. So remember, it is not your job to tell that someone is HIV positive.
And then it's
Or
like that person. If you having sex, you supposed to protect. You supposed to act like everybody got HIV. You know.
now here's the caveat. If it is deemed that a person is intentionally if of infecting people, you can give that information, and once it's given, actually they put that person over on the news. Did y'all know
Mhm.
that?
No.
Yes.
Okay. Because it is against the law to just be in going around. Yeah, we should be taking responsibility, but when somebody go crazy with it, it's against the law.
Yeah, because they have charged people with like an
Mhm.
attempted murder,
Mhm.
um,
Yep.
charge for just going around sleeping
Mhm.
unprotected, knowing that they have HIV.
Yep. Because they do when you go in when they find out when you find out you're positive, the health department automatically calls you and then they ask you who all you slept with. And so they do a contact. You give whatever you can give, the last telephone number, email address, and then they're gonna call everybody you gave, who name you gave, and say, we need you to come in and get tested because you have potentially slept with someone that's HIV positive.
Right.
25.
Is it
Sophia.
me? Okay.
Mhm.
If a therapist is in doubt about practice, the Code of Ethics requires that the therapist seeks the advice of supervisor and colleagues. I want to say true
Why?
because if there's something that, I mean, if you're in doubt of something, you should definitely seek advice from from your supervisor and colleagues.
Hmm. So if you don't really understand CBT, you go to your colleagues and say, "Hey, can you walk me through this?" Now, if you're in private practice and you don't understand CBT, you let your client know and ask them if they prefer to be referred out. Another thing when it comes to when in doubt, for the sake of the test, is if you work in an agency and they're practicing unethical stuff like rolling people up in blankets, trying to beat the devil out of them or whatever, you would not go to anybody in that agency. You would not talk to the supervisor, and you would take that outside of the agency and report it higher. Do anybody know why?
Well, it's illegal.
Hmm. And if you go to the supervisor, she been working there for years. Don't you think she know what's going on is unethical? So you don't want to put yourself in a trap bag. Okay. 26 is Jessica.
The term privilege relates to the release of information in a legal setting, true?
And I know we talked about it, but I think talking helps us. So why?
Because privilege is what you assert. Confidentiality is what you do by nature.
There you go. Demetria,
Clients must give specific consent if the therapist plans to record the session. True.
why is it true?
Because that goes back to the telehealth communication services, ensuring what we just talked about them protecting the like, services, knowing they know how to operate the services and
Mhm.
that all of
All
that
of
stuff.
that. Yep.
Hmm.
So Jessica said something important earlier. A lot of therapists use AI
Uh-huh.
things to do their notes. And so you have to get consent from your clients. Does it help with your note? Oh my God, it does. But if your client needs to be in agreement to being recorded. Now, what I will tell you is if you're using an AI system to generate your notes, please make sure it's HIPAA compliant. Uh I forgot who.
Something.
Jessica, did just one last. Dimitri, you was last.
I was
Okay,
mastermind.
mastermind.
All right. Social workers have no obligation to promote or facilitate research since the primary goal is to help people in need and address social problems. That's false.
We talked about that earlier. Why is it false?
We ethically we supposed to participate in research.
Mhm, mhm. Anybody ever done a research or worked in research? It's
I do.
rewarding.
I do. I do testing now for dementia, and we do research now with it's not specifically for social work, but it
Mhm,
is with a sense. But
mhm.
because we're doing the lecanemab infusions for Alzheimer's disease,
Oh,
so I do a lot of research now with my nurse practitioners and all now with the lecanemab infusions with Emory University and all of that with that now. Never
if
thought I
you,
wanted to do it, but I'm doing a lot of that
it's
now.
rewarding. If you ever want to make big money in social work, do research. Sophia,
I'm sorry.
it's your turn. 29.
Um, if a lawyer subpoenas a client's records without a release, the therapist should provide the information immediately. False.
Why false?
Um, because if a lawyer, we spoke about like when it comes to subpoena, only if the judge subpoenas. If the
Mhm.
subpoena comes from the court or the judge, then we release. But so it's false.
Jessica, is this also something you was kind of referring to earlier?
Yeah. So like they'll use
Mhm.
like the lawyer subpoenas or they'll use the word subpoena, but it
Mhm.
doesn't clarify whether it comes from the court or whether it comes from a layperson. Because like I'm an arbitrator, I could subpoena, but that doesn't mean that you have to respond to
Mhm.
my subpoena. But if a court says, we're subpoena records from you, then you respond to that.
And another thing I want to add, Jessica, again, thank you for sharing that comment. Everybody wants to write test questions now because everybody wants to
Mm.
be when they pass their exam, they want to be a tutor. And I would say everyone is not equipped. So when you all are looking at these test questions, please make sure you look at how long these people been tutoring and things of that nature because some of the information provided is not correct. Jessica, it's your turn. 30.
Privilege is suspended if either the client or the therapist sues each other. True?
Why is it true?
You have the right to defend yourself.
That's when it gets down to the nitty gritty. You like, look, what'd you say, Demetria? You don't wear what?
I don't look good in stripes. I
And
wear
that's
polka
when you
dots.
you also tell your client, man, when it get down between me and you, I must defend myself. And at that time, you can pull out every note, but you do not share your therapy notes. You just your side notes, you don't share those. You just share what's in your regular chart. Demetri, it's your turn. 31.
As a supervisor, it is your ethical duty to make orderly and explicit arrangements regarding relationships with supervisees. True.
Why?
Because it says orderly and explicit. That makes me think
Mhm.
of boundaries and making sure everything is done basically decent and in order.
There you
Is the
go.
way I would take it at.
Anybody have questions, comments, or concerns behind that one? Have y'all seen any of these questions before? Cause y'all getting them right. Oh, okay. I thought, okay, we on it. We on a roll like Cottonelle. Mastermind.
Social workers who are teachers or instructors should take steps to ensure that clients understand when services are being provided by a student. That's true.
Why?
Like the personal disclosure statement, you need to disclose and let the client know they have a right to say, I don't want to deal with a student.
Mm-hmm. And y'all, I must say, when we come out of school, we get offended. But when you go through life, you're like, I can see why they didn't want a student. But in some agencies, I have seen some agencies, it's already written in their disclaimer. We have a lot of interns that come through here. So it's basically telling the client that we don't even give you an opportunity. So pay attention to things like that because I have seen it, but the clients do have a right to say whether they want a student around or not.
Mhm.
You seen that happen? Somebody said, mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. I've dealt with a lot of interns. I actually had somebody ask me. I did a conference Friday, and a student came up to me and she said, "Will you take a student?" And you hate to just look them directly in the eye and say no. I was like, "Yes, call my department." I gave her a card, and Dr. Bergrat was looking at me like, "You don't want a student." I was like, not that I don't want a student, but I work with dementia people all day long,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes you have to watch how many people you put in a room
Mm-hmm.
around people with dementia because we're testing these
Yeah.
people. And when we're doing neurocog testing, sometimes you can't put too many people around them
Mm-hmm.
because it gets them agitated and all that kind of stuff. So, but she was like, "You want a student?" I was like, "Oh Lord."
It's a toss up, and I just to caveat you are our students they don't have placement.
I
So
know.
just keep that in. It is getting very hard and we have a shortage of social workers. I don't y'all probably like how, but statistically it has been proven that we have a shortage of social workers and a shortage of
I've
LCSW.
always taken students, and that's the thing. I cannot count how many students, and I take them because I've had so many students. Mr. Mitchell, I don't have anybody. I did hospice 30 years. I took students. I did nursing home part time. I took students, and I've always taken students because I know you got to have an internship. And I've had so many students tell me they can't find placement, and I take them and if this girl got to have a placement, I'll take her. Because I wanted to graduate and I know how it is not to be. I mean, I didn't have trouble finding a placement, but I hate for her not to have a placement.
Yeah, so y'all keep that in mind. Mastermind 33.
Before I read 33, I'm confused. Why is it hard for people to find placements now?
Because of what we just discussed, a lot of agencies just don't want to be responsible
Okay.
for students. A lot of times, you have the staff is first of all, if you're still in an agency, it's probably more clients to the social worker. So the social worker is already overwhelmed. People work is getting behind. So when you bring on a student, they got to go through orientation just like a job, and then they have to be assigned to someone. And oftentimes it's not the supervisor they're assigned to staff.
Right. And they'll sign the staff, and then the staff takes them on, and then the
Mhm.
staff gets extra work because you're
Mhm.
having to do work through the school. You're having to do their midterm
Mhm.
evaluations, and you're having to meet with
Field
the
play.
professor and field
Mhm.
placement assignment. And it can end
It's
up
a
being a little
lot.
extra
It's a
little
job.
part-time work for
It
you
sure
with an
is.
intern.
Yeah.
It's a little work.
I was a supervisor at an agency and was managing 3 interns, and I thought I was about to pull my wig off. And I
Yeah, yeah.
literally mean that I was just like that because both one was more advanced. It was three. One was real advanced. The other two just weren't getting it. And I just wanted to go, God dang it, just you get frustrated, but you have to remember, and they could see it in your face, and you still got to go behind their work, their notes. You got to go through their notes, make sure they didn't underwrite or overwrite. You got to sit in some of their sessions with them before you release them on their own and still try to do your work. And if you get behind, the company gets on you. You can't say, well, it's because I got an intern shadowing me. So yeah, that's it.
So 33?
Yeah.
All right. As a therapist, it is unethical to solicit the clients of a colleague. True.
Why?
I don't know why. I don't know.
Sound
What
like
does the
stealing.
word solicit mean?
Huh?
What does the word solicit mean?
Where you go out and try to so your colleague has a client and then you start going to that client and saying, hey, I think I'm better than company X that you go to, but when you come over here, we can really get you where you need to be. Stealing.
Stealing.
I gave you the professional term for it first, but the other term is stealing your people. So
Okay.
I would say this. This is what happens. Um, y'all ever heard of like BetterHelp and talk space and all that stuff? So those are what they do is they solicit a lot of private practitioners because you're once you become LC, you got an NPI number. You probably you can have it. You should have an NPI number now. But you have an NPI number, you have a tax ID number, EIN number. And so all of your all your professional businesses out there, if y'all Google me, y'all will be like, oh, she got 5 stars in her professional world. But what happens is these agencies start pulling your resumes off of LinkedIn and all this stuff. And so they'll come to you and say, hey, will you come over to our company? And you do it. They don't pay you much. But what ends up happening is some of them have clauses that says, because let me go back and say this before I say the next thing. When you to get clients, Sophia, you have to pay a lot of money. You got to like pay for all these advertising sites. So that comes out. So before you become a big LCSW, you spend more money than you make. And part of your money goes into advertisement. So when you have a company like BetterHelp or Talkspace, they pay for your advertisement. So, which means they're going to get you clients because if you notice, you're going to hear a BetterHelp commercial. You could be sitting in your house watching TV, you could be listening to the radio, you could be on social media, and something pops up. So they're getting a lot of clientele.
Is that similar to Headway?
Headway is different. Headway is a little bit different. I'll tell you
Okay.
about them in a minute too, but I'm gonna tell you this so it can make sense. So BetterHelp can have a clause that says, we're going to get you clients, but you can't take that client over to your private practice. Some
Okay.
companies don't have a clause like that. And so if they don't have a clause and they come to BetterHelp and they pay BetterHelp just started taking insurance, but just say they don't. So they don't take insurance. You have a client say, Miss Bogart, I really want to keep working with you, but I can't keep paying BetterHelp $200 a month. So what I say is, so do you have insurance? And they said, by the way, I do. And I go, oh, but Better Health has a clause. And they'll say, so what are you saying? So if I have their personal email address, I can email them and say, since you can't pay $200 a month, I can take you on my private platform with insurance. So that's soliciting. Did it make
Okay.
sense what I just said?
Yep.
So, but if that company does not have a clause when you sign their contract, it's not soliciting. Because also our code of ethics says we are supposed to help our clients by any means necessary. So if they got insurance and Better Health is charging them and don't accept insurance, technically what I just did wasn't wrong. Now, if they have insurance through Better Health and BetterHelp is only giving me $30, and I ran their insurance and see that if I see them through my private practice and I can get $130 off of them, and I say, hey, why don't you come over to my private practice platform? I'm really soliciting now because I'm trying to get more money off of the person. So did both of those examples make sense?
Yes,
Can I give
absolutely.
an example, Dr. Sherr?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So a while ago, I had an interview, and this lady, she wanted to hire me for private practice, and then she said, "Well, how many clients do you have at the company that you're at?" And I told her, and she said, "Well, how many do you think are going to follow you?" I said, "None." She said, "Well, why not?" I said, "Because I have a contract. Do not. I don't know. It's some
You
contract
can't
I signed."
transfer them
Right.
over. You can't
I
So
take
thought
she
them.
said,
non-compete clauses were illegal.
That's what it
no,
is.
it's not illegal. I'm on it's a non-compete. So I said I have a non-compete. She said, "Oh, that's hard to prove." Like she was so nasty. I said, "I don't want to work with you because I
Yeah.
see how
You have
you
to be
are."
careful with that.
And she said, "Oh, you have to go out and get your own clients, and we pay you $15 an hour. But once you get your clients, we pay you $25 an hour." I said,
Yep.
"Oh
Because they're
no,
going to keep your
they're
clients
gonna
when
keep
you
your clients
leave.
and your money.
Yeah.
$25."
It's crazy.
So, Sophia, real quick, y'all, we're gonna get back, but I'm trying to give you our information in between. So Headway, because I have a private practice, but I'm on Headway too. Headway does not get your clients for you. But I will tell you, Headway will get that commercial you see where it says we get you the most money. They do because I have I have several clients and Headway doesn't keep your clients. So when I leave, my clients go with me. But what Headway does is unlike a lot of other companies, they don't charge you for managing. Let me take that back. They charge you, but they don't bust your head as hard as some other companies will for managing your insurance for you. And that's the thing. School tutors, we teach you all how to take the test, but we don't teach you how to manage a private practice. And managing a private
Mhm.
practice, it's easy once you learn it, but you got to learn billing logistics. You don't understand it. It's not that easy until you learn it.
Mhm.
Uh, did it make sense? Does this help you all? Okay.
Oh,
Next
yes.
question. I don't know. I got lost. Was it you,
My turn
Sophia?
now?
Okay.
Okay.
34, Sophia. Uh-oh,
If a
sorry.
if a therapist receives a subpoena for testimony, the therapist should exert privilege and contact the client. True.
Why?
Um, so you're getting a request. Oh, it's false. Then I have no idea.
Try.
I mean, I was thinking that if a therapist gets a subpoena, right, you don't want to respond to it. You want to at least inform your client. Oh, okay, exert privilege.
You see,
Okay.
I
See,
want you to
I
read it. Mm-hmm.
now I'm thinking of Dr. Pam. It's a reading test. I'm telling you, she's I remember when I went through her for the LMSW, she kept telling me it's a reading test. It's a reading test. And now, yeah. Okay.
So
So I
you see it?
totally missed that.
Mm-hmm. All it takes is one blink and you mess it up. This is also what Jessica was talking about again earlier, where it seems so vague. Is this another one you was talking? I need to ask you instead of assuming Jessica, but yeah.
Mhm.
But did anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns behind this? So what kind of test is this on? One, two, three.
It's a reading test.
It's a reading test.
Mhm.
So do y'all see what we be saying when we say this is not a hard test? You just gotta pay attention. 35, Jessica.
The COE requires that a social worker report unethical colleagues, but does not specify who to report them to. True?
Why is it true?
Well, because you could work with many different scopes of practice. They all have their own boards.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Did that make sense to everyone? So if you just find the correct board and go to that board and make that report. Demetria 36.
A terror assault condition only exists if a client makes a serious threat to harm an identifiable victim. I want to say true.
We don't say want to. We either say it's true or it's false, and we say it
Well,
with
it's
confidence.
true. It's true. It's true. But it says only and serious. Well, I mean, it's true. But I want to say
Listen to
only.
what you just said. Only and serious.
Well, that's right. I want to say false because I don't want to say serious if you make a threat, period. So, I mean, that word want me to say false. That's why I say I want to say true, but
Mhm.
I was thinking false because any threat, not just, it doesn't have to be serious. If you threaten them, period.
Mhm.
That's where I was going with that.
Yep, a threat is a threat.
It's
So
a
you
threat,
act
right?
on it because you don't know what's going to go on. But for the sake of the test, in some cases, but in the real life, you make sure you assess. And assess is just asking a question. So if your client says, when I go home tonight, my wife is going to get it. Don't just automatically assume your client is saying he's going to go home and beat his wife up or kill her. You are going to further assess and ask, what do you mean by she's going to get it? Did that make sense what I just said? Okay.
Yes.
And so also while we're on TerraSoft, remember if the client on the test and in real life, if the client tells you that I am going to go kill my wife when I get home, You can call her if you have her information. Did you know that?
Yes.
Right.
But you
And tell
still
her to
call.
leave and get
Mm-hmm.
away that he's gonna kill her,
Mm-hmm.
planning to kill her.
And then you call 911. That's a 911 call after that. Okay, Mastermind 37.
Social worker, it is unethical to accept a job in an agency that is under public sanction from the NASW. True.
Mastermind, you sound far away.
Oh, okay. Is that
Okay.
better?
Yeah,
As
a
a
little bit.
social worker, it is unethical to accept a job in an agency that is under public sanction from the NASW. I would say true.
Why true?
It just makes sense.
It's correct, but I need a real answer.
Um, I mean, if they under sanction from the NASW, they didn't did something
They
wrong.
have done something. There you
Yeah.
go. They're doing some practices, some hoodoo, voodoo, and things that could be detrimental to our clients. Do we have 2 hours, y'all? 5 to 6.
No, we got four.
Be sleeping for.
He's
I'm
like,
trying to
I'm
catch
trying to
the
get some
halftime
more.
show because Bad Bunny's gonna be on.
What time is
I
halftime?
It's supposed to be 8.
Okay.
I
Oh
don't know. So the
God.
game already on. I don't even know what time the game
So
come on.
we're not, yeah, we're not gonna get through our okay. So we'll just get through what we get through. 38. Okay, let me ask y'all, do y'all want to keep discussing after we answer, or do y'all just want to get an answer and we go on to the next one?
I like what we're doing because it helps us
It's helping.
understand.
Okay.
I mean, I think it helps us to understand. Not if you just answer the question and you don't understand, I think this
Yeah.
really helps us
Okay.
understand.
I didn't want to cheat y'all. Okay. So we have about 10 minutes. Who's next?
We had
Sophia.
back at the beginning, Sophia.
It's
Mhm.
Sophia.
Therapist has an ethical duty to collaborate or refer to improve and protect the health and well-being of the clients. True.
Yep. Why?
Uh, it just sounds ethical too.
Sophia, I just told Mastermind she could not say that.
Well, so it hasn't well, we should always collaborate. We should always like look for ways to improve and protect. Because our priority is, the client, right? The well-being of the client. So, it's definitely important to collaborate and.
And collaboration is like if we can't offer something, that's more like a case manager question on the test as well. So just say if a person coming to your agency and you're providing them with counseling, and in the midst of everything they start talking about, I don't know how I'm gonna pay my rent tomorrow because I lost my job 2 months ago and I'm running out of income. Then you collaborate with community agencies that pay utilities or give money towards rental assistance and things, but make sure you get a consent. And also, once you, in some cases, depending on the type of client in that collaboration, you're going to make sure that the client followed through because otherwise that could hinder your session. Because if they don't get their rent paid and they're depressed, they can stop coming to your sessions and you all were making progress. So you get a consent to, just kind of follow up and say, did Miss Bogart come over to your agency? Um, the other way collaboration looks is in some test questions, sometimes a client can be working with two therapists at one time. Did you all know that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so y'all seen test questions like that?
Yes.
So
I
you
think
get
I've
to
seen the questions, but they have to be communicating with each
yes, they
other.
have to collaborate and communicate. And they don't, but it's best. But if the client does not give you permission, there's nothing you can do about it. I do it all the time because I have couples that I work with. They're seeing a couple. They either send me for couples counseling and they go to an individual therapist, or they're seeing me for individual and then they go to a couples. So, you know, it can go either way. So that's what collaboration look like. 39, Jessica.
The COE prohibits social workers from criticizing the social work profession. False.
Why is it false?
I mean, go to any break room. Sometimes we hate our jobs all the time.
There you go. 40, Demetria.
If a therapist receives a court order for a client's records and believes the release would be harmful to the client, the therapist should first advocate for no release or a limited release of information. True.
Why is that true?
Because we don't want to do anything that's going to be detrimental to our clients,
Mm-hmm.
protect our clients.
Protect them. The code of ethics says when you walk into your office or when you turn on your screen, you are no longer Demetria, Jessica, Sophia, or Mastermind. You are your client's protector. So you will do everything until you clock out. And it really does say that. Who's next?
The code of ethics requires practitioners to become involved in establishing agency policies. Uh, I'm not really sure, but if I had to break it down, I think it would be true.
Why do you think it's true?
Uh, I'm not sure.
It was like that research we talked about. You remember? You just shaking your head, Sophia, but you saying anything over there. So we are involved in agency policies, and this is actually a test question, you all. Now, a lot of people say, "Well, they ask us to be involved, but they never do what they ask of us. They never." We're not talking about that, but we are involved in agency policies because we know what's going on. And so, if there's a test question or practice question, something like, it's an agency where people are coming in and the clients are making reports to the staff, and so the staff has to go back and tell the agency, the upper management, like, hey, they're not happy with this. So that's how you have policy changes, or they're saying you need to move your office to, you're treating HIV clients like here in Memphis. One of our biggest problems was we had a lot of African American Black individuals with HIV, but they live like 45 minutes from the facility that can treat them. So their complaints was, you all need to put a clinic in our neighborhood. And so we as the staff had to take that to upper management, and upper management did put a clinic in they partnership with other clinics, but that's how they was able to get that. Mastermind. Next.
All right. A therapist should investigate child abuse if they have a reasonable suspicion. That's false.
You sure about that?
Hold on. Oh,
I was just messing with you. See, I
yeah.
was
We
just
don't we
messing
don't
with you.
investigate, right? We don't investigate. We report. It's our job
There
to
you go.
report.
I was just trying to make sure you were paying
All
attention.
right. Yep. I'm
You
there.
got it. You was there, Jessica.
43?
Hmm.
Okay. Did we switch order?
What happened was
We
Sophia
we
went, and then it should have been Mastermind, and I
us.
didn't
Okay.
keep up.
So I'm on 44. I'm on 43.
43. Mm-hmm.
Clinicians should not engage in dual or multiple relationships with clients or former clients where there is a risk of potential harm to the client. True.
Why is it true?
Because it's on us to protect the client.
There you go. I was about to say Hillary after I've been saying Demetria all this time. Demetria.
Ethically, students cannot be placed in agencies that are under sanction by the NASW. True.
It is. So if you all notice, the questions are starting to be repetitive, but it's said in a different way to see if you all are catching on to it.
What
Y'all
does
caught on to that?
I don't really understand question 44. Like what does it mean?
I
What
want
does,
you to read it. Read it, Sophia.
so ethically students cannot be placed in agencies that are under sanction by the NASW. So what does sanction mean?
So sanction is when an agency is practicing things that are not safe for our clients that can cause more harm. And so this company has been reported.
Okay.
And normally they're private entities, but sometimes it can be some nonprofits that's doing some unethical stuff. And once it's sanctioned, that means that it's been reported to the highest level, and the NSW is investigating that agency. And so we cannot, even not just students, but we as individuals should not be working in the agencies either. If we work in an agency where we know it's under sanction, and while that investigation is going on, you can lose your license.
Okay.
Did it make sense the way I
Yes, it
explained?
does.
Did anybody else have any questions, comments, or concerns behind that one? Okay.
Is it my turn?
Oh, yeah, it is now. Or
When
is it?
dual
No, it's mastermind. It's mastermind.
Okay.
Sorry. 45.
When dual or multiple relationships are unavoidable, clients are responsible for setting clear, appropriate boundaries. False.
Why is it false?
That's my job to set
That's your
clear and
job.
appropriate
But
boundaries.
look what it says.
Well, how did that happen?
Read it again.
When dual or multiple relationships are unavoidable, clients are responsible for setting clear, appropriate boundaries.
That's false.
So why the T there?
I don't know, to throw you off, but it's false. I
Okay.
I did that purposely because I knew by the time we get to the end, guess what y'all do on the test? What happens to your brain close to the end of the
Anything. You just
exam?
going
T.
anything.
It
Yeah.
starts fading out. So I said, I'm gonna trick them up to see if they gonna stay on top of it. But there you go. Y'all doing good. But have you noticed that happens to you on the exam or even when you're doing study questions?
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
Uh,
So clients should be informed of their oh uh
46.
46. Okay. Therapists should avoid initiating treatment when there is a known dual relationship. True?
Why?
I mean, you always want to, when there's anything dual relationship, it's always best to avoid. Of course, there are certain circumstances where it's unavoidable, but
And on the test, a non-dual relationship is if y'all go to the same church and then they come in your office and say, hey, your church member comes and say, hey, I know we go to the same church, but everybody talks about how good of a therapist you are. Don't do it. Again, you have those caveats where if everybody is doing it, and if you choose to do it, you take on the responsibility. But if you're in a rural area, a lot of times you don't have a choice but to be the therapist to your church member or the person on the baseball team that you play on or whatever.
And that's kind of
48.
where we are, because like I told, we're the only memory clinic, and we're the only people that test for memory in this. I mean, the
In
next
your
closest
area.
clinic is Macon, and I have tested so many of our church members, all the church members in the area. I mean, you have to go 100 miles to go to the next testing center, and I test people every day that I know, family members and everybody. I'm having to test everybody, and it's more dual relationships and everything that we're having to do with the testing that I do.
Demetria, what you just do is keep your mouth shut at church. I was
Oh, I
try
do.
to sit far away from them because they think it's girl. So how you think my daddy gonna be doing? And so you try to avoid. You can't avoid them, but sit on the opposite side, sit in the back, get in the choir, join the choir, whatever you need to do. But the professional thing is we don't discuss this outside of the office,
Right.
and that's
Right.
this disclaimer you actually give them when you're at work. Hey, I know we go to the same church, but please let's not discuss anything outside of the office because that does happen.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, I've had clients running to me and when I was doing HIV heavily, and they're like, "Hey, there go my HIV social worker," and I'm like, "You know who you talking to?" Somebody did me like that in the mall, and I was with my family, and my kids was like, "That's one of your clients, mama," and I'm like, "No." My son was like, "But she just said she your client." So things happen. I
Mhm.
went straight back to work that Monday and made everybody aware of what happened. 47, Demetria. Was it?
Mm-mm. I think we skipped one.
Uh,
Jessica.
it's
Yeah.
Jessica. I'm sorry, Jessica.
Social workers are required to keep current on practice knowledge and development. True.
True. Why?
Well, because we should be made abreast of new evidence-based practices. Before it was CBT, now we use EMDR, or gold standard for trauma.
Yep, there you go. So we have to stay. Now, staying current does not mean that you're trained to do it, but it's just you need to have knowledge of what's going on. So that's why we have to obtain CEUs. And while we're there, did you all know that depending on your state, there are specific CEUs that you must have. You have the
Mhm.
standard, like for us in Tennessee, I'm gonna need you to leave. For us in Tennessee, we have to have every 2 years, we have to have 5 hours of suicide training or CEUs. So please be familiar with what you have to have and how many hours, because LMSW does not have to have the same hours as LCSW.
Right.
48, Demetria.
When clinicians provide services to two or more people who have a relationship with each other, for example, couples and family members, the clinician should clarify the nature of their professional responsibilities to everyone. That is true.
That is true. Why is it true?
Everybody should know. You just need to make sure everybody knows where they stand. Just set your boundaries and make sure everybody knows where they roll, where one
Mhm.
starts and the other one ends.
And speaking of families, as we come to an end, are you all familiar with the hero, the mascot, the scapegoat?
Roles in family therapy?
Yeah,
Yes.
there you go. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing in 2 minutes so Jessica can catch the halftime show. I'm just messing with you. I hope you all enjoyed tonight's session. I try to do things different because, like I said, I have been with Dr. Pam for 4 years, so a lot of people know me. I've worked with some people individually in groups, but I'm gonna start with you first, Hillary. No, I'm just messing with you, Miss Demetria. What did you get out of today's session or tonight's session?
Well, if I didn't get, I got a lot out of the session, but at least now I have a name. I'm still stuck on this in loco
Parentheses.
parentis. I got a name for that now. That's gonna stick with me forever. Um,
Mhm.
I got that. I got it wrote down, and now I got it in my memory bank.
Okay.
Um, but I enjoyed you tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
I took classes with Dr. Pam when I did my MSW,
you.
and I like her style and her classes. And I've not really taken with any of her other tutors before, and I did not even realize you were doing this class tonight until they
Mhm.
sent me the thing and said that it was you. And I was like, oh, this will be interesting.
So
So I have really enjoyed you.
thank
I have really, really enjoyed you. You
I
did a
think you
very
all have me
phenomenal
for your
class.
next 3 groups because did Dr. Pam, before I tell her business, did she tell y'all her business already?
That she's gone
Yeah. So
out of the
she tell everybody, so I know I can say
She's
this.
I
So
tutored
traveling, I
her
think,
with her on
right?
Friday, so she told me a little bit of the business.
So what it is for years, and I like I said, I tutored with her for 2 years, and in every session, all I heard is, "Heck, the bear, wait, I can't wait till I get out of here, and I have to sleep with a light box." So Dr. Pam travels, and her goal when she retired was to move out of the United States. I wouldn't be surprised if she became a Tina Turner one day, and that means like relinquish all of her USA rights. But what she's doing now is testing the world to see where she wants to live. And so she is in Mexico, I
New
believe.
Mexico, I think.
New
Yeah, I had
Mexico.
my session
Mhm.
with her.
She's in New Mexico. So she's testing New Mexico. So for I believe all of this year, maybe like every other month or every 2 months, because we've been working behind the scenes on how we're going to do it. When she goes out of the country, I do her groups. So,
Oh.
yeah. And so I will tell you all, I teach from a book, Mastermind, and I hurry up. So it won't always be like this. With ethics is one of those things I think doing the true or false because we have our own way of inserting stuff into ethics. So I found doing this way helps individuals better. But for other lessons, I teach from a book called Don Apgar, and it teaches you content. None of my students like reading it in the beginning, but if you read it 2 or 3 times, then you eventually get to teach you how to read. Yep.
Okay.
So, Jessica, what did you get out of tonight's session?
Honestly, confidence, really. I think that there's always this idea of like second guessing yourself or inserting more into the question and just like really just answer what's being asked of you. So I know that, the number one phrase is this is a reading test, and it really is.
Mm-hmm. That little red light, that light bulb went off tonight, huh?
Yeah.
It's a reading test. Sophia.
I really liked how it was I always love Dr. Pam's groups. It's so engaging. It's intimate, right? Not too many people, so I feel like I get the best bang for my buck. But yeah, I loved the true and false questions. Sometimes like I feel like you learn more like with that. So I really loved the exercise tonight.
And I would make sure you all get it. I would have to send it to admin, and admin will have to send it out. But you all should have access to this video. Mastermind.
I love the group. One thing that I really like is your 10-second drill. I like that, because if you can explain in 10 seconds, you got it. So I like that. I really like that.
Have you all ever heard of the elevator speech?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's how you should think when you're taking this exam. Because, like I said, on the exam, I've been there, you all. I took the exam 13 times before I became an LCSW. So if nobody can tell you they've been there, Sophia was like, what? Yeah, and $20,000, Sophia. I was hypnotized, had tutorers, the material I had to pay, the price I had to pay. I became superstitious where I was like, I'm gonna go to another testing center. I went out of town to other testing centers, which cost gas money, hotel money. I started feeling like the person on the corner with the help me sign. My friends started paying for my exams, which puts a whole lot of pressure on you when somebody paid, what are they, like $285. I'm like, no, don't do that. They're like, no, I have faith in you. And then I failed it. Well, I don't use the word fail. I didn't pass the exam. I had 3 friends that paid for the exam. My friends are not social workers, but they're honorary social workers because they would have to stay up on calls with me and go through questions. My dog would have to answer questions. Then my grandson was 4. He's now 6. He was answering questions. And y'all laughing, but seriously, you have to teach somebody who doesn't know the profession because they don't think the way you think. And I remember I had all of my friends and family members, and I was like, how did you get the answer right? And they was like, because you put too much into it. And that's exactly what they would tell me. And when I would go back and look at it, I was like, dog, I sure did. They would read the question one time and get it right. And I get off the call crying. And they'll text me and say, you okay? I'm like, no, because you got more answers right than I did. So I'm telling you all this for a reason because we put too much into it. It's a reading test. So if I hope you sound like you all got something tonight. Like I said, I can't remember exactly when I'll see you all again, but I know it's 3 more times. I almost had you all, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, somebody was subbing, or was it?
Yeah.
Now the days
Sherr.
are running together. I can't even remember.
Last
But
week, yeah,
wherever you
Sherr.
are, be safe. I do want to leave you with I am a true testament of if you really want this, you can get it. And once you get it, once you learn the real material, the way you work, you would not work that way again. Everything I do now, I do it with like pride and joy. I really take, if something's going on, if a client's saying something to me, I'm like, that's a Eric Erickson thing, or that's a Maslow thing, or that's a Margaret Mailer, because I also work with women that are dealing with postpartum depression. So when you learn this, and if you've taken the test more than 3 times, you're not a loser, you're not a failure. I promise you, all of my peers, I had a circle and it was becoming real depressed. I was getting depressed because I was the last one in my circle. It was 12 of us that was in grad school together, and everybody came out and they was getting it. And I was mad because I had a friend, we're close. I hope she never see these videos, but she was like the slowest one in our group. And I was like, how the heck she passed the exam before I did? I had to help her because she fell in the MSW program, and like I ended up helping her. So in our MSW program, if you fail, there was 2 parts of your exit exam. If you fail one, you can sit and take it's if you fail both, you're out of the program. You don't get to graduate. And so I helped her, and she didn't pass. And so I held on to this. So when she passed, when she got her LC before I did, I was hurt. I was crushed. And if you need to drop off, drop off. But so I was offended, but it made me work harder because every time people drop out of your circle, if you have a circle, they stop talking. They don't come back to the circles. And I've
Mhm.
talked to other people, and that's like, yeah, it happens. And so after me, it was only one person left, and I contacted her every month. And I was like, are you okay? And she was like, yeah. I was like, just go to Dr. Pam. She was like, no, I got this book and I'm doing it on my own. She came to Dr. Pam and she passed her exam. But what I'm saying is, all those people that passed their exam before me, guess who they call when they're in a bind? Me. And I'm not boasting or bragging because they don't keep a loaf or in loop of what's going on. And they're like, you're still teaching students and you're still doing this and you're still doing that. Give me some information or call me. Help me problem solve this. So what I'm saying is, however many times you take this test, you're learning. So if, hey, that's the 6-year-old, y'all. I can't get rid of him, and he's not my child. He's my grandson. But what ended up happening is, every time you take the exam, don't look at it as I didn't pass. Look at your score. And if your score is going up, you're getting closer and closer and closer. And once you get out there with your LM or your LC, you will be the best at it, because a lot has changed since my peers who passed the exam 10 years ago. So much has changed and they don't know. And when I said, why y'all not in private practice? They like, girl, it's too much, because they're scared to do it. So
Mhm.
you're not a failure. You're just going to be extremely strong. And then you're going to come back and say, academic coaching was amazing. And we're not here for kudos. We're coaches. And if Mastermind, remember when I first met with her group, I said, hey, I'm like a basketball coach. So who playing the game? Is it me or you? My grandson said you, because he said none of y'all talking. So you're
Yes.
the you're the ball player. I'm just on the sideline coaching you and giving you the guide. But when you go in there, you can do it. And Dimitri, because you shared it, I too was on medication. It got so bad, I had to start. I've never done drugs in my life, but I had to start taking gummies, because my anxiety was just like out the roof. And your anxiety, if it is anxiety, it's because you want this so bad. It's not because anything is wrong with you. It's just because you want it so bad. You're tired, you're missing out on stuff. I travel every year, and we was on a cruise and I had a book study. My cousins was looking like, you crazy. We was in Puerto Rico one year and I was on the beach with a book, because that's how bad I wanted it. And they was like, who brings a book to the beach in Puerto Rico? Me. And then I had them, I was like, so, we just laying here in the sun. Why don't y'all go over some of these questions with me? So take advantage of whatever time you have, and don't think of it as you're losing. You're actually winning. And that's how I want to end tonight. So I'll see you all again. Maybe, maybe not. Keep up the good work. I know 2 individuals are getting ready to take your test real soon. That time will be here before you know it. You got this.
Thank you.
Welcome. Good night, everybody.
Thank
You
Good
you.
have a
night.
good night.
Thanks. Bye bye. When I end my call, you can.